start your ExpressPlex workflow, spin down both the ready reaction plate and the indexing plate to ensure that all of the liquid in each well settles to the bottom. Then remove the plates from the centrifuge. Now remove the seals from both the ready reaction plate and the indexing plate. Then use a multi-channel pipette to transfer 4 microliters of the indexing reagent into each column of the ready reaction plate. Pipette up and down at least 3 times in each column of the ready reaction plate to adequately mix. Make sure to change tips between additions to prevent cross-contamination. You will now repeat the same process with your DNA source plate. Remove the seal from the DNA source plate. Go column by column with the multi-channel pipette, transferring 4 microliters of DNA sample to the ready reaction plate, again changing tips between each column to prevent cross-contamination. Remember to pipette up and down at least 3 times in each column of the ready reaction plate to adequately mix the reaction. Now seal the ready reaction plate for thermocycling. Then transfer to the thermocycler and select the appropriate program, which will run for about an hour. For convenience, you can set up the thermocycler program outlined in the procedure section of the ExpressPlex user guide. After cycling, remove the plate and begin the pooling process. Remove the seal on the ready reaction plate. With a multi-channel pipette, pool 10 microliters from each well into an 8-well PCR strip tube. After adding the last column to the strip tube, pipette up and down several times to mix. Now pool all the individual wells of the strip tube together into one 2 ml low bind tube. Now we will move on to bead purification. Please note that the magwise does separate, so vortex or pipette mix thoroughly prior to purification. Use a pipette to measure the volume in the low bind tube. Then add 0.75 volume equivalent of the measured volume and magwise into the tube. Then pipette mix the solution up and down at least 5 times to ensure that it becomes a homogeneous mixture. Once clear, remove all of the supernatant from the low bind tube and discard it, being careful not to disturb the bead pellet. Perform 2 80% ethanol washes by pipetting a sufficient volume of ethanol to completely cover the bead pellet in the tube. Wait for a few seconds, then remove and discard the ethanol from the tube. Once all of the ethanol is removed from the low bind tube, immediately resuspend the bead pellet in 30 microliters of 10 millimolar tris hydrochloride. Pipette mix up and down to remove the bead pellet from the side of the tube. Then, once the bead pellet has been completely resuspended, incubate for another 5 minutes to elute the library from the beads. Then move the tube back to the magnetic stand and incubate until the supernatant clears. The supernatant is now your purified ExpressPlex library. Transfer the volume to a fresh, low bind tube. And now the libraries are ready for QC and sequencing.